In the fast-paced world of modern relationships, where constant communication and attention are often considered essential, silence can seem like a counterintuitive tool. But in the realm of attraction and human interaction, silence is not just the absence of sound. It is an incredibly powerful force that can influence and captivate the mind of anyone you wish to engage, especially women. For centuries, people have underestimated the impact of silence. Yet silence has the potential to make someone miss you, crave your attention, and even beg for your presence. The power of silence lies not just in what is unspoken, but in the emotional reaction it evokes. The delicate art of mastering silence can make women not only notice you, but also yearn for your attention in a way that words could never achieve. In this guide, we're going to explore why silence works, how to use it effectively, and how to create a magnetic presence that leaves women eager to seek you out. If you've ever felt like you've been ignored, or like your efforts to win someone over have been fruitless, this technique might just be what you need to flip the situation in your favor. 1. Understanding the power of silence. To understand why silence is so effective, we must first explore its psychological and emotional impact. Humans are naturally social beings who crave attention, validation, and connection. In the realm of attraction, however, the law of scarcity plays a vital role. The more available and predictable you are, the less valuable your attention becomes. Women, like anyone else, are more likely to value something that is rare or hard to obtain. Imagine a scenario where a woman is accustomed to you being constantly available, replying to every text, calling at every opportunity, and putting her on a pedestal. Over time, this becomes predictable, and as a result, the excitement diminishes. In contrast, by introducing silence into the equation, you break this predictable pattern. You give her the chance to miss you, to wonder where you are, and most importantly, to begin to appreciate your presence. Silence is powerful because it disrupts expectations and triggers curiosity. When you become less predictable, your absence creates a sense of longing and desire. It taps into the natural human tendency to fear loss. This fear of loss, also known as the fear of missing out, FOMO, is an incredibly effective motivator that can make someone crave your attention more than they ever have before. 2. Why silence creates desire. At the core of silence's effectiveness is the idea of emotional space. Think of it like this. Emotions can be likened to a balloon. When you are constantly engaging, texting, calling, or spending time together, you fill the emotional balloon to its maximum capacity. There's no room for the emotions to expand or intensify. But when you introduce silence, you create that necessary space for longing and anticipation to grow. Women are drawn to emotional intensity. They want experiences that make them feel something deep. Silence allows them to imagine, to reflect, and to wonder about your intentions. This curiosity fuels the attraction. When someone doesn't always know what you're thinking or what you'll do next, it makes them more focused on you, trying to figure out the mystery that is you. This dynamic is particularly powerful because, in the absence of your attention, they often begin to crave it. 3. The psychology of scarcity in relationships. Scarcity is a psychological principle that states that things that are rare are perceived as more valuable. The principle of scarcity is a fundamental driver behind many human behaviors, and it's especially relevant in relationships. When you make your time and attention scarce, you increase your value in the eyes of others. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative, but rather about understanding human nature and creating an environment in which attraction can flourish. Think about it this way. When someone is always there, it becomes easy to take them for granted. But when they're not always present, that person becomes something to be desired. In the context of attraction, it's about making sure that your presence is felt, but never overdone. When you pull back, you create a void that the other person will instinctively want to fill. Women, in particular, are often more attuned to emotional nuances. They may feel frustrated when you pull away, but that frustration will quickly transform into curiosity, desire, and, eventually, a stronger attraction. The key is to introduce just enough silence to provoke this reaction without disappearing completely or making them feel abandoned. 4. How to use silence effectively. Now that we understand why silence works, the next step is learning how to use it effectively. Mastering the art of silence is not about being distant or cold, but about strategically creating space for the other person to appreciate your attention. Here are some key strategies to incorporate into your interactions. A. Stop over-texting. One of the most common mistakes people make when trying to connect with someone is over-texting. While texting can be an easy way to stay in touch, it can also quickly lose its charm if it's constant. When you text too much, you remove the mystery and excitement of waiting for a response. Silence in this context means holding back on texting immediately and allowing some time between messages. This will create space for her to wonder why you haven't responded yet. You don't need to play hard to get, but rather practice being selectively available. Texting once or twice a day, rather than bombarding her with endless messages, allows her to anticipate your communication. This scarcity of attention is exactly what makes her crave it more. B. Limit your availability. This is where the power of absence comes into play. Don't always be available for plans or calls. Allow her to miss you by maintaining a busy and fulfilling life outside of your interactions. This doesn't mean ignoring her or leaving her hanging, but rather having a full schedule that doesn't revolve around her. When you become someone who has a life, passions, and responsibilities outside of the relationship, you become more attractive. C. Leave pauses in conversations. When you're speaking to her, don't feel the need to fill every silence with words. Silence in a conversation can be incredibly powerful. Pausing for just a few seconds before responding or giving her time to speak can make you seem more confident and in control. This deliberate use of silence shows that you're not desperate for her attention, but rather that you are comfortable with yourself and the moment. This subtle form of silence creates tension, which is a powerful tool in building attraction. It allows her to think about what you just said, and it also gives her the chance to reflect on her feelings toward you. D. Give her space to pursue you. If you're always the one reaching out, arranging plans, or making the first move, it's time to switch things up. By reducing your efforts and making her feel like she has to work a little harder to get your attention, you increase your value. Silence, in this case, is about stepping back and allowing her the opportunity to initiate contact, reach out, and chase after you. When you give her this space, she begins to associate you with the idea of scarcity. She'll feel the pull of wanting your attention because it's not as easily accessible. It's important to note that this doesn't mean playing games, but rather letting her invest in the relationship. 5. Silence creates emotional space for her to open up. Silence doesn't just apply to you, it applies to her as well. When you provide a quiet, non-judgmental space, you allow her the freedom to express herself more openly. Often, when people feel rushed to fill the silence or talk excessively, they inadvertently prevent others from feeling safe to open up. By embracing silence, you can make her feel comfortable enough to reveal more about herself, her thoughts, and her feelings. This level of emotional intimacy is attractive because it builds trust and deepens the bond between the two of you. Instead of bombarding her with questions or constantly trying to be the one talking, create a space where she feels heard and seen. The absence of pressure from you will encourage her to share more than she might otherwise. 6. Silence shows you're not desperate for attention. One of the most alluring things a person can do is show that they are not desperate for attention or validation. Desperation is often apparent through excessive talking or constantly seeking reassurance. When you use silence strategically, you show that you are comfortable in your own skin and do not need to fill every moment with words to feel valued. By being confident in your quiet presence, you communicate that you're not needy and that you have a sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on her constant attention. This unspoken strength can be magnetic, as it signals that you're a person who is emotionally stable and doesn't rely on external validation for happiness. Silence becomes a tool for demonstrating your independence and self-assurance. 7. Silence builds anticipation and keeps her interested. When you reduce the amount of verbal communication, you create a sense of anticipation that keeps the interaction intriguing. Think of silence like a buildup of tension that increases excitement. When you're quiet, she begins to wonder what's going on in your mind, what you're thinking, and what your next move will be. This feeling of anticipation naturally makes her more curious and more invested in figuring you out. Over time, this mystery can make her think about you, even when you're not around, drawing her attention and keeping her interested. Silence, when used correctly, creates an emotional pull, making her want to know you better and to seek more moments of interaction. 8. Silence signals emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is one of the most attractive qualities a person can exhibit, and silence is often a hallmark of this trait. When you are emotionally mature, you recognize that not every moment needs to be filled with words. You understand the value of quiet reflection, the power of listening, and the importance of timing in communication. By embracing silence, you demonstrate a level of self-control and awareness that sets you apart from others. In emotionally charged situations, silence can be a sign of composure. Instead of reacting impulsively or saying something you might regret, you take the time to process your emotions. This ability to pause and reflect shows that you are in control of your feelings rather than being ruled by them. It signals to her that you are someone who can handle the ups and downs of life with grace and resilience. Silence also reflects your capacity to be present in the moment. In a society that often prioritizes constant activity and chatter, the ability to sit comfortably in silence is rare. It shows that you are not trying to escape from your thoughts or avoid uncomfortable emotions. Instead, you are grounded in your own reality, which is an incredibly attractive quality. Additionally, silence can indicate that you are a good listener. Emotional maturity isn't just about managing your own feelings, it's also about being attuned to the emotions of others. By staying silent and giving her the space to express herself, you show that you value her perspective and are willing to listen without judgment. This level of attentiveness fosters trust and deepens the connection between you. Silence also demonstrates a strong sense of boundaries. Emotionally mature individuals understand that their energy and time are valuable. They don't feel the need to overextend themselves to please others or prove their worth. When you use silence strategically, you communicate that you are selective about how you engage with others. This self-respect often inspires mutual respect from those around you. Furthermore, silence can be a sign of confidence in your ability to handle conflict. Rather than escalating disagreements with unnecessary words, you can navigate tense situations calmly and rationally. This approach shows that you are not easily rattled, which is reassuring to her and makes you appear even more dependable. Ultimately, silence is more than just the absence of words. It's a powerful indicator of emotional depth and stability. It shows that you have the maturity to approach relationships thoughtfully, making her feel secure and valued in your presence. This quiet strength is not only attractive, but also sets the foundation for a meaningful and lasting connection. Silence is often underestimated in its ability to communicate power, confidence, and emotional depth. While it may seem counterintuitive, the strategic use of silence can have a profound impact on your interactions. It shows that you are not desperate for attention, builds anticipation that keeps her intrigued, and signals a level of emotional maturity that is both rare and highly attractive. In a world where noise often dominates, Silence can be a breath of fresh air, a statement of independence, self-assurance, and thoughtfulness. By mastering the art of silence, you not only elevate your presence but also create deeper, more meaningful connections with those around you. So the next time you find yourself tempted to fill a quiet moment with words, pause. Remember that silence is not just an absence, it's a powerful tool that can speak volumes.